Look who's peeking into my window. Little bit early, don't you think? Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs with my weekly vlog for Monday, September the 28th, 2020, vlog number 187, and the 201st day of COVID isolation. Hard to believe, over 200 days. It's soon going to be a year, but let's not dwell on that. Okay, so you saw my teaser, one of my latest quilting projects for Christmas. I'm not going to show that to you today because I haven't got it quilted yet, and I'm hoping to get to it this week. I always procrastinate when it comes to quilting. It's not that I hate it, it's just it's very involved when you get to that stage, and I enjoy piecing more than I enjoy the actual quilting. But nevertheless, I am going to get to it and get it done. And I'm always happy after it's done anyways. So, moving on to what I have up here behind me though. This is going to go on the front door of my house at Christmas time. And you can't really see the quilting on it, but I quilted this whole piece. It's a panel, by the way. I didn't draw and paint those characters, okay? Wish I could. But no, it is a quilt that was a panel, and I just added a couple of simple borders around to the edges. Actually, the fabric that's on this border right here is also gnomes, but their little faces got a little chopped off when I was doing that. So when you first look at it, you don't really recognize the fact that it is gnomes. However, on the back of the quilt, there are gnomes. Lots and lots of gnomes. I quilted this using a snowflake pattern, and I know it's not really showing up on the video very well, but I had it done by the embroidery machine. Now, it's such a small quilt that that's easily done, and I didn't go all the way through the layers like you usually do in a quilt. So you won't find any quilting on the back of this. The reason for that was I did not feel like setting it up in case this didn't work on the embroidery machine in the traditional layered way. I only did the top layer. Also, it's a small enough piece it won't come apart, because that's what quilting does. It keeps your layers together on larger pieces, and it is just a door hanging, a Christmas decoration, so it's not like a lot of people are going to be checking out the back of this, although the background fabric is, or the backing fabric is very, very fun. It's all gnomes, as I told you. So that's another Christmas project I have done, and I still have a few others on the go, as you know. And if you've watched my latest edition of Idiot Quilter, I talk about those projects in a little bit more detail. And there is a connection. Okay, a little tied up with my tongue here this morning, don't know why. There is a URL link to that in the show notes below. Okay. Let's move on to what else I've been working on. Well, I've been working on my Christmas cards as well. Now, I've shown you this design before, but I have decided to mount them on cards. Now, these are going out to some very special people. I don't send out Christmas cards. I think I've told you that before anymore, mainly because of the cost. And a lot of people are in the same boat. In this country, it costs you $1 a card to send it through the mail. And it's just not worth it anymore, because what do people do with Christmas cards? Throw them away after Christmas. So what's the point? But these are for some special people, because you can take those front pieces, detach them from the card, and they become a Christmas tree ornament or a tag for a gift or something else. And those are all free laced embroidery that I've done on my machine. And I have to make 17 of these. I'll probably make a couple of extra, because you never know. You can always use a couple of extra cards. And I've got a lot of them done. They take a while, but I think they're very nice. I think they look very elegant, and I think somebody getting that will appreciate it. I hope. Okay, so let's move right into the channel of the week. If you like history, you're going to like this guy. In fact, he's called The History Guy. This week's YouTube channel is called The History Guy, and this is a very interesting and entertaining look at very little known facts about history, both at the world level and very much the American level as well. But nevertheless, these are things you've probably never ever learned in high school. And if you were someone who didn't really like history in high school, this might turn you on to that as a subject. I find him very entertaining, as I've already said, but more than anything, the topics he picks are things that, well, really, I've never really asked myself about, but I'm glad that I know about them now, thanks to the History Guy. So check him out. So the link to the History Guy is in the show notes below. I've already mentioned the Idiot Quilter episode 82. That's there as well. And there is also a link to the book of the week. Yes, we have a book this week, and I'll talk more about that in a few minutes. And the link to Stephen Walter Live. And this past week, we tried to stay away from the whole talking about the politics of things that are happening these days and go right into pure creativity. And we did. We had an art attack. We haven't done an art attack in quite a while. And during that, I showed Walter how to create some interesting abstract backgrounds and some 3D embellishments, and we made a couple of cards. His turned out, of course, gorgeous. They always do. I mean, I've been doing this stuff for years, and then he does it for the first time, and it's like perfect. It's the way it goes. Anyways, that's in the show notes below if you're interested in checking that out if you didn't catch us. Okay, so this takes me to what's pissing me off this week. Well, something interesting I have to read to you. I got an email the other day, and I decided to respond to it, and, well, I have our conversation right here printed out, and I'm just going to read it to you. I think you'll get where this is leading once you hear it. So, this is the initial email I got. How are you? I need a favor from you. I need to get a Steam Wallet gift card for my nephew. It's his birthday today, and I totally forgot I can't do this now because I'm currently on a short trip. Can you help me grab one from any store around you? I'll pay you as soon as I'm back. Kindly let me know if you can handle this. Karen. I wrote back, Sure, Karen. Let me know what to do. Karen writes back, Thank you very much. The total amount needed is $500, $100 denominations. You can get it from any store around you like Kroger or Walmart, and I need you to scratch the back of the card to reveal the PIN. Then take a snapshot of the back showing the PIN and have them sent to me so I can forward it to her. I owe you. Best regards. Karen. You know where this is going. I wrote back, I'm sorry. As you would know, the area I live in does not have a Kroger or Walmart within 300 miles of me. She wrote back, You can get it from any store around you. Thanks, Karen. I wrote, I'm surprised, Karen, that you have forgotten exactly where I live. I am still in a very rural area. The closest place to me is a gas station, and they don't sell gift cards of any sort. Please advise. Karen wrote back, Can you help me to e-transfer the money to her? Thanks, Karen. And I wrote, Of course I can help. What do I do? Karen wrote, I will send you her email so you can send $1,000 to her. And will you be able to send it now? Let me know. I owe you. Thanks, Karen. I wrote back, Sure, I can send it now, but is $1,000 enough? I was thinking that maybe more would be better. Can you explain to me how I send the money? Karen wrote, Can you wire the money to her? Thanks, Karen. I wrote, Hi, I have not heard back from you about the address I need to send the money. I want to help. She wrote back, Okay. She wrote back, 216 Springhaven Court Southeast, Airdrie, Alberta, T4A1L5. Thanks, Karen. Okay, what bank was it again? Karen writes, Bank name, RBC, Royal Bank of Canada. Thanks. I wrote back. I'm missing a piece of the conversation here, but I wrote back to her saying, Okay, I've sent you the information. And she wrote back, Can you send the confirmation receipt? And I put, I don't know what you mean. I've never done this before. What is the confirmation receipt? And she wrote back, Just a confirmation if you sent the money to the right account info. Well, by this time, this has been going on for over 2 days, back and forth, back and forth. I figured she would have gotten discouraged by now and figured out that I'd figured out that she's a scammer. No, she hadn't. She was being persistent. The address she gave me, and I've missed a piece here printing it out, but she gave me the name of a person as well, which started out, the sex of the person was female, but the name she gave me was male. And you've also noticed that she started out with $500 in gift cards for some Steam wallet, something which I think is a card for online video games or something like that. And then suddenly the next thing was send her money, and it was $1,000 out of that. And I thought I'd sweeten the pot by suggesting 1,000 wasn't enough. Maybe I could give her more. She didn't seem to bite on that, which I found surprising. So this went back and forth, back and forth. So finally I figured, okay, the thing is up. Let's finish this. So this is what I wrote. Hi, Karen. Thank you for all your messages. You have been under a surveillance since this situation has started. As a result of our AI security surveillance software has been tracking your IP addresses. As such, we have been able to pinpoint your location. The local authorities, as well as the RCMP and Interpol, have been contacted and are now making arrangements for your arrest on the charge of international computer fraud. Do not attempt to leave your location. Fraudulent Officer Captain Fred Barnes, number 34567, RCMP. I didn't hear back from her again. And since then, I have blocked her as well, just in case she tries to get a hold of me again. I will say one thing for this scammer, and we've all heard about these kind of scams before. And one thing about this particular scammer is the address she gave me was legit. Now, I was going to look up the name and forgot to. I may do that later today just for my own curiosity. But I think she went into a phone book and she picked a Canadian address. Why she picked Alberta, I'm not sure, which would suggest to me she only knew that I was in Canada, probably because my email address ends in a .ca. But she didn't know what part of Canada I was in. So she probably just Googled an address in Alberta and found a legitimate address. So I'll give her credit, her, I keep calling her, it's probably not even a woman. It's probably somebody sitting in a booth somewhere in India or Nigeria, either one, because that's where all the scams come from. I have to say one thing, this person's English was pretty good. Most of the time when you get one of these scams, the English will be broken, there'll be a lot of grammatical errors and things like that. And this one had very few of those. So that was pretty good. But I mean, the other inconsistencies, of course, are there. Like, first of all, I don't get it with these scammers. Why are they bothering? We hear so much about scamming. Everybody should be pretty much be aware of something like this. Second of all, I didn't ask her, because I was going to toy with her, who she actually was, because her email address comes up as Mike and Karen, Mike and Karen 100 at hotmail.com. So it's a couple, Mike and Karen. I suppose they picked two very common names. Do I know a Karen? Yes. Do I know a Mike? Yes. But they're not together. But if she's sending out thousands of these or whatever, it could happen that she might actually hit upon somebody who will look at the address real quick and immediately make the assumption, oh, this is Karen such and such, I know her. Oh, they're on trip? Oh, sure, I'll give them a hand, not a problem. The other bait parts in here, though, that should set up a red flag for anybody is that they want gift cards. Now, the excuse here, though, was not like the ones that say, you know, you owe all this on your income tax, pay us in iTunes cards, something like that. Like, I still can't understand anybody that would fall for that. I mean, our Canadian government does not accept gift cards for paying your taxes. I don't think any government would. But anyways, so, I mean, okay, for her nephew, there's a scenario. Forgot to get a gift, birthday gift. Steam wallet cards. Yeah, that's online gaming. The nephew, it would suggest the nephew is, you know, someone young enough that's playing video games and things like that. So that all sounds legit. Now, There isn't any indication you were going to get paid back or how you're going to get paid back either. So you're just going to you're going to drop $500. Initially, that's what she wanted, right off the bat on game cards. When it got up, and then she's talking about scratching off the back, giving her the PIN number, and taking a picture of the card. So now this brings into focus. I've never bought these cards for online games before, no idea. So I'm not sure how she would get cash out of these, because basically it's just giving you monetary credit for video game. Maybe she's a big video gamer. I don't know. But there must be some way they can do this, and she needs a picture of the card and she needs the PIN number. Not sure how that works, but I'm not giving her that information. Then suddenly it got to, she did, I think I left that out in here. She wanted me to e-transfer the money to this person. Well, normally when you do an e-transfer, you do it by email. You have an email address. So she didn't say to send it to her email address, the one that this Mike and or Karen and Mike or whatever at Hotmail. But I did write a note. I missed a whole page that's in here. I wrote a note back to her saying, okay, I need the name of the person and the email address. Well, that's when she sent the name. But when I asked now for the email address, that's when we suddenly went to this, let's wire the money now. And she did give me what looked really legit. She did give me more than just the name of the bank. She also gave me a transit number and some other details. Now, at this point, if somebody happened to know a Karen and had any doubts, they might start to think, plus it was a Canadian bank, the Royal Bank of Canada, very legitimate bank, might think, okay, this is pretty legit. Now, I would be calling the bank myself and asking them, okay, do you think this is a scam? If I was not that I'm even going to send it. I'm not going to send money to anybody. I don't care who they are, because I'm like that. I'm cheap. But if I was tempted, I think I would have to do my due diligence and just double check all that information with the bank. So when I wrote back and I said, oh, well, the bank needs the full address of the individual. And she kind of put up a stink at that. She said, well, why would they need that? And I said, I don't know. That won't go through unless I have the full address. I was playing real blonde here, okay? That's why she sent me this very specific address in Alberta, which does exist. I Googled it. So anyways, as I said, I toyed with this for a while and haven't heard back from her, or her. It's probably not a her. I don't know what whatever. And it's probably coming from India or someplace like that. Or what may be even more sad is there people in my own country doing this kind of scamming as well? You often associate this with foreigners, not people in your own country, but I suppose there's lots of crooked people everywhere, aren't there? And that's what I'm pissed off about. This scamming business, it's been going on for years now in various forms, telephone and internet scams and email scams, the whole bit. And what gets me is, obviously, there are people buying into it enough that these scammers keep trying because they must be getting some individuals. And this is sad. This is a sad reflection on what our world has become. Do we not have enough problems in the world with the disease, with politics, with the Americans and what they're going through? Just adds to our load of that's making us anxious. It's making us filled with anxiety. It's actually making us filled with hate too. I hate these people, these scammers. And unfortunately, it's turning me somewhat racist. Yes, you noticed I did mention that a lot of these scams come out of two places in the world, India and Nigeria. My view, based upon these scams and what I've read about scams that come from those two countries, is not a very positive view of the citizens of those countries. And that leads to racism. And that's horrible. I know lots of people that come from India and Nigeria. I've worked with many people from both of those countries. absolutely lovely people. Intelligent, hardworking, very giving. Great additions to our Canadian landscape, as immigrants coming here and becoming Canadians. And we are a mosaic of cultures. But something like this gives a country a very bad reputation. And even though it's probably a very tiny portion of the demographic, nevertheless, it is very difficult for us not to paint all people that come from that particular country as being thieves and scammers, isn't it? And that pisses me off. I wouldn't want people to think that as a Canadian, because something that has been done by our politicians or whatever is an accurate reflection of the attitude of Canadians or of me. And I suppose I could say the same thing about Americans as well. Americans have a bad rap in the world. You've heard me say before, we make sure that we have something on us when we travel to Europe that indicates we are Canadian, because we do not want to be saddled with the label of being an American, because of the reputation Americans have. Do they deserve that reputation? No, they don't. But right now, they are one of the most hated countries in the world, and they are ones that are being, to say the least, laughed at, and not with a ha-ha laughing with you, but ha-ha laughing at you kind of attitude from many people in the world. And why do they have that? Because of the actions of only a few of their citizens. People who are the non-maskers, their president, and all the political stuff that goes around with that. All of the violence we see that police are directing towards people of the black community and things like that. It's very easy to believe that those are accurate images that reflect exactly how every single American is. And I don't think that's the case. And I have proof for that. I have Americans here that subscribe. We have Americans we talk to all the time that come on Stephen and Walter Live. And as far as I'm concerned, they seem to be lovely people. Other things that I'm on in social media where there are Americans as well, every one of them that I have met through a Zoom meeting or something like that, lovely people. But isn't that the way of the world? We whitewash everybody because of the actions of a few. And it is very difficult, I must say, especially right now when we're all uptight about COVID and the political, what do you want to call it? The political vibe that's being given out by all countries in the world and everything like that. It's very easy to become extremely negative about a people. And when we become negative about a people, we start to blame them for problems that may have nothing to do with them, but we look for scapegoats, and it goes on from there, and it builds, and that becomes, race riots, discrimination policies, acts of war. So that's what pisses me off. And to go back to the scammer, that's what these scammers are really doing. Do they intend to do that? Probably not. They're just selfish individuals that are trying to take advantage of the weak out there. But nevertheless, through all of these, they're making us, they're contributing to a very negative attitude, to say the least, that we may have about specific groups of people in the global community. So, I think the best thing to do when it comes to scammers is don't give anybody money for anything. Unless you actually have met the person, you know for sure they are absolutely related to you, or there's somebody that you know very, very well, don't fall for this. Don't fall for phone calls that come through and they say that they're the tax collection agency of your country, or they're a bank wanting your personal information. Banks already tell everybody, at least in our country, they do not ever, ever ask you on the phone for personal information. And the same goes with our CRA, the Canadian Revenue Agency. And I imagine most countries work that way. When in doubt, do your due diligence and check it out. Don't fall for the sense that there's an immediacy that you need to act now. You never have to act right now. Sit back, think about it, because that's how they get you. Okay? And also, think about them as they are just horrible individuals that are doing this. They do not represent a whole group of people or a race or a nationality. Okay? We must separate those two. And I think if we do that, it is going to contribute to a better world. And don't we need a better world right now? Okay. End of the sermon for today. Let's move on, shall we? Oh, by the way, scamming the scammer here a little bit. That was kind of fun. I'll have to say that. It was kind of fun. Okay, let's go on to products and things that I bought this week. Well, I did go shopping. Walter and I got a little antsy this week, as I'm sure other people are. The seasons are changing here. We're moving into the colder months and then into winter, and just want to grasp the last of a summer that we never really had. So we went to a place north of us called Aurelia, about 75 minutes away. There is a quilt shop up there. It was a beautiful day, nice day for a drive. And it's a little further north of us, so the trees have really started to change already up there, which is very pretty. They're not out in their full glory yet, but they're coming. And we went to a quilting store that we know up there. Now, I had no particular thing that I wanted to purchase, but I just like to go and look. Of course, the store had all the social restrictions in place. The only criticism I have of them, it said on the door they only allowed 3 people in the store at a time. No one was standing at the door to stop us, although the cash register is very close to the door. And we walked in, 2 of us, and there was about 4 other people in there shopping. But nobody said we couldn't come in. So we kept our distance. Everybody was wearing a mask. Hand sanitizer was available and being used. So I guess it was okay. And it was a large enough area that you could keep your social distance. So I guess that's okay. So when I was in there, I did buy a few things. The first, I saw these, and I showed this on Stephen and Walter Live in a little bit more detail. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, not in Stephen and Walter Live, Idiot Quilter, that's what I meant. I have far too many channels. I'm going to do an unbundling of the things that I'm about to show you, so in more detail, because these are really pretty. But I bought 2 of these. They remind me of New Year's Eve for some reason, the glitter, the colors, and the whole bit, and I just think they're really pretty. Now they were about $22, $21.95 a bundle, and there's 5 fat quarters in each. So, you know, there's enough here to make, along with a few other pieces, to make a decent looking quilt. Don't know what I'll make. Haven't got a clue. May not happen for quite a while. But then I bought this one, and I couldn't resist it. Look at this, the colors. There are 30, what's it say? There are 34 pieces in this, which includes 2 panels. I think these are the panels below. They look like they might be butterflies. I'm not sure, but it all coordinates. I love buying bundles like this because it takes the guesswork out. And you know, they do this on purpose because this is so pretty. You don't want to even unwrap it. And I know people who will not unwrap these until they definitely want to use them, and they'll leave them out in their sewing room or wherever on display because they are really pretty. So as I said, later this week I will probably do an unbundling video. I also saw this. It's applique. It says a small landscape project. I like anything that's got, you know, a seashore to it with a lighthouse. I love that kind of thing. Tracks my attention. This is called Across Canada. It's Nova Scotia, and it's Peggy's Cove. And many, many years ago, I have been to Peggy's Cove. It's a very famous spot and a very famous lighthouse in Canada. And it comes with the fabric. It only makes an 8.5 by 11 panel, as it shows on here. So it's basically applique. I don't do a lot of applique, but that doesn't mean I don't like doing applique. I have to be in the mood for it. So this will probably sit in my stash for a while because I'm still concentrating on Christmas. But I will do this. Now, I'm thinking I could build a quilt around this idea too. Maybe. We'll see how it goes. Okay. Oh, I did mention the price on these at $21.95 a bundle, and I bought two. This was $21.95, I think, because it comes with the fabric and everything. You want to know how much this one is? Want to take a guess? $50? No. $100? No. Try $175. Not cheap, but there's a lot of fabric in here. In fact, it says there's 9.334 yards of fabric, just to be exact. So that's basically 9 meters, give or take. So that's about the going price. If you were to buy it at $15 to $20 a meter, yeah, that's about right. I mean, when you buy those bundles, you probably aren't saving any money, but what you are doing is saving time in having to pick out fabrics because they're all there, they're all coordinated. So I did also order a few things, and I showed these on the Idiot Quilter, so I'll just show it to you quick. I bought these online from thequiltstore.ca. You know, it's one of my favorite websites. I bought some clamps. These are for rolling up your quilt so it fits under the throat of your sewing machine as you're doing free motion quilting or whatever. So I got these to try. I've never tried these before, so we'll see how that works out. I bought a little measuring tool. It's a gauge, you know, $2.49. Figured what the heck, might be in handy. And I'd already ordered these online on Amazon, and actually they came the other day. But I saw them in the store, and I hadn't gotten them from Amazon yet, so I picked up another package. They're just this. You see, I've used one already. Little arrows. They're called ruler stickers, but you just stick them. Yeah, rulers sometimes are hard to see the numbers on them. So it's easy to, you know, cut something wrong because you can't see the mark properly, or you see a different one and you get off, you know, you're not getting the right marking. You just put these on your ruler. They're vinyl, and yeah, they're visible and you can see them. At least that's the theory. And there's 192 in a package, so I will never run out because they're reusable as well because they're vinyl. But I got those too, just in case the ones from Amazon didn't come. And when you know, one day later, they came from Amazon. So I've got lots of these. Okay, so those were all the things that I picked up. And as I said, I think I'm going to do an Idiot Quilter episode where I'm going to pull those bundles apart and show you the actual fabric. So those of you that are quilters and that are into fabric and things like that, you may want to check that out. Okay, let me put these away and show you something else that I bought. Now, this is more for my crafter people. When we were up in Aurelia, we actually had a really nice lunch in Aurelia on a patio. They were extremely sticking to the rules, which was nice to see. I mean, you couldn't go, even though we were going out in a patio, before we sat down, we had to have our masks on. The tables were well spaced out. You had to use hand sanitizer in there. The help were all wearing masks, everything. They were cleaning down all the tables after somebody had been there in the whole bit. I even asked, I needed to go to the washroom, and some places don't have their washrooms open right now, but theirs did. But you had to follow the little yellow brick road kind of a thing that kept you distanced from anybody inside, if there were people inside. As I said, we were out on the patio because it was a lovely day. And the washroom was immaculate, and no lack of hand sanitizer, signs telling you about proper washing, things like that. So, you know, we felt very safe there. And more restaurants need to do that. And right now in Toronto, they're blowing it majorly. They've closed down 3 restaurants, good, in Toronto because they weren't following any of the guidelines. And cases are up drastically here. So we aren't doing we're not doing any better a job than the Americans are. No. And we have too many idiot people running around thinking that, there was a protest in Toronto on the weekend. No maskers. Fighting this thing as though their personal rights are being violated because of this. Oh, it's a broken record. Could we just get off the turntable on this one? Wear your fucking mask. For God's sakes. Pardon my language. But really? Well, anyways, how to get on that? So there's another store I like to go to when we go up to Aurelia. It's called Paper Capers. And I haven't been there for a while. It's an interesting little craft store. It's a scrapbooking, card making kind of store. They have tons of different and unique things, but it looks like a junkyard when you first lay eyes on it. The very first time I ever saw it, I almost turned around and walked back out because I thought, oh God, this looks like a thrift store or something like that. It's not. But it is so disorganized that you have to go on a treasure hunt, which is actually kind of fun, I find, because there's something different around every corner of this place. We were the only ones in the store. So of course, yeah, social distancing and the whole bit. And I did buy a couple of things, and this is going to be for my next projects. I got this graphic 45. I actually got two of them, two different sizes. They're called Craft Board Altered Art Box with magnetic closure, including a 4-panel accordion fold craft album. And this one, very much the same, but it has featuring a sliding drawer, Craft Board Altered Art Matchbook album. So these are going to be fun, and they will be one of my next projects that I will share with you on here. I also picked up some rice paper. I picked up 2 sheets of this because it's very steampunky, and that'll work as collage materials. And then they had another one. This is only an 8.5 by 11, I think, or 9 by 12. Yeah, doesn't say, but it's another piece of steampunkish like rice paper. So I'm going to use those in conjunction with these projects. At least that's my thought right now. I won't get to this for a while. And why? Well, that takes me to what I want to talk about next. And we're starting a new project. We finished the altered book album, and now we're going to make the curio cabinet album. So that's what we're starting today. And so I'm going to take you to part 1 of that right now. I have these little boxes that had little embellishments in them that I bought at the dollar store, like this one that hasn't been opened yet. And I have several of them, as you can see, 4 of them in the small size. I have a larger one in this size, and I also have this tripod, an artist easel, actually, a really cheap one. All of these things came from the dollar store. And what I'm planning to do is make this into what I'm going to call a curio cabinet album. So there's going to be little things in each one of these little compartments, and it's going to open up, and inside the box will be a little album as well. Now, I'm not absolutely sure at this point what direction this is going to go into. I know that I want to start off by giving this everything a coat of gesso, and I'm thinking of doing it as a spray gesso if I can find my spray bottles, because I think that'll be easier, and maybe a couple of coats, because this is balsam wood, and I do plan to paint, actually spray stain using distress sprays from Tim Holtz on the outside to give it an antiqued old look to it. And that's as far as I've got with my idea at this point. So stay with me to see what I make this into. So what I've done is I've gessoed all my base pieces here, and I used a spray gesso. It was a lot easier, although you get a lot of overspray with that kind of thing. So be careful with it. And then what I did was another couple of things here. I've decided these are going to be the doors of my curio cabinet. And they're going to, so I took 2 of these little boxes and I glued them together with like a Gorilla Glue type of thing. And they're going to sit on here. Now, there's 2 things that make this imperfect on this box. One is I'm going to put hinges on this, and I've already got a small package of 3/4 inch hinges, which I think will work, and I'll probably glue them and then put faux screw-like ends into it, because these screws that it comes with would, I think, pretty much go right through the balsa wood and probably split it. Maybe not, I don't know, but I'm going to try it with Gorilla Glue, and I think that'll be good to hold it. But I had to build out the edges of the box. This is what I mean. If you look here, I've had to build out both of these edges so that when the lids sit here flush with that, they join in the middle as well. So you see here on the edge, I have these. Now, how did I build those out? Well, I had some of these large popsicle sticks or tongue depressors, I'm not sure what they are, and I gessoed 3 of them and glued 3 together for each side right along here. Now, once these are all colorized with whatever color I'm going to do, no one's really going to notice those. They'll blend right in to the rest of the box. At least that's what I'm hoping for. The other thing is that when these are on here, I have a choice. I can make it, they're a little longer than the box. Okay, if you see here on the other side, you have that effect. Now, what I could do is I could sort of center it so there's only a little bit peeking out. And I am planning to mount this on a tripod permanently. It won't come off the tripod. So that may not give me a problem. Or what I'm thinking is I'll make them flush at the bottom. So you're going to have this little part up here peeking out. But because this is the back, no one's going to be looking at that. But I think I might take this little embellishment, which I've also gessoed, and I'm just going to glue it so it'll stand up. And I'm not sure how that's going to work yet, but I think I can. Just at the top, so it's going to look like a little decoration. And when the drawers open up, you'll see that up there. Now, I could, give it to more support, I could glue it right along that edge, but then I'm going to have about 1/8 of an inch where this drawer is not going to sit flush. Now, I could compensate for that by taking another one of these and putting it down here. I could do that, but then there's going to be a bit of a gap. So I think, though, what I'm going to do, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I think I can get it to stay up here, and I think that's what I'm going to do, and leave the bottom open. Then I'm probably going to have to put something over these join marks that are here to cover them up, and I could use a smaller popsicle stick or something and make sort of a railing. I don't know. It depends. I'm not sure yet. So that's as far as I've got so far, so I'll carry on and show you what happens next. Okay, so what I've done to the outside of the cabinetry, that's the pieces that look like this on the inside, this will be the part that'll be on the outside of the curio cabinet. And I'm trying to give it that aged sort of wood look. So I was experimenting with distress sprays and with oxide inks. I don't have any of the oxide inks in spray bottles. So to get this effect, which I'm kind of liking with the watermarks on it and things like that, staining basically, is I sprayed a couple of layers of distress gathered twigs and distress tea dye. Now these are just regular distress inks. They're not the oxides. And between layers I dried it and I sort of blotted it with this paper towel. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a layer of Distress Oxide Mode Lawn on top of this. And although this is coming out a different green than what you see here, it will change when I mix the next color with it. But right now I'm just getting a fairly hefty layer of the Distress Oxide Mode Lawn onto this. And then I'm going to take my water spray bottle and just give it a good spray. And I'm going to let that soak in and react. And as it's doing that, I'm just going to give it a bit of a dry. And once I've got it partially starting to dry, I'm going to sort of dab it with this cloth. I don't want to remove it. I just want to sort of help it to blend in a little bit more. Now I want to get this layer pretty dry. It can be slightly damp, but I'm going to put another Distress ink color. I'm going to use Ground Espresso on top of this, and I'm going to do the same thing again. And I'm going to go back and forth between these products until I get these two doors pretty much the same in color. Okay, I think that's dry enough, so I'll get my Ground Espresso. And I'm not worried about the circles, blending the circles in, although I am getting them a bit blended in, but that's not going to matter because, again, I'm going to spray this to get the oxide inks to react. So give it a little bit of water. Okay, let that soak in for a second or two, and then hit it with the heat gun again. And I'm trying to get these two doors to match. They won't be completely exactly the same, but you know, that's not unusual. When you're staining regular furniture, you probably won't get your stain to be even throughout a project because it's just the nature of wood. Maybe give it a bit of a dab. And by doing this too with this textured cloth, it gives it a little bit of texture as well. Now I'm just wondering if these are dark enough or if I should go another layer of the Distress Oxide Ground Espresso. They're pretty close to each other, but I think I will. I think I'm going to add just another layer. Okay, and give them both and I think for this one, I think I'm just going to let them air dry for a little while on here and see what happens. I'm liking what's happening over here, whether that's going to maintain that look or not. This over here I'm not so fond of. Maybe a little more water. Okay, I'm just going to let the two of those air dry for a few minutes. Okay, that takes us to Book of the Week. Yes, I have a Book of the Week. I thought I had gone through my whole stash of books over the last couple of years, and lo and behold, I opened up a cupboard door and found a few more. And this is one that I found. It's called Personal Pages and Inspirations, 1000 Artist Journal Pages by Dawn DeVries Sokol. This is what it looks like. Now on the back it says, this book shares with you over 1,000 intimate, exciting, beautiful, experimental, and very personal pages from journal artists all around the world. You'll be inspired, touched, and amazed by what you find within these pages. So this is not a how-to book. This is a book of inspiration. And it's very inspiring, because it'll give you some really cool ideas, I'm sure, that will, if you're having a little problem with your mojo, it's going to jumpstart it. Beautiful, beautiful works in here by 1,000 different people. So it is quite nice to look through it when you know you have that block. Now, can you get this? Yes, you can. You can get it on Amazon.ca. I've got the link in the show notes for that. And what's its cost? In Canadian dollars, it costs $27.33 plus $7.49 shipping. But you can also get it in Kindle format for $16.15. I don't know if I'd want it in Kindle format, in an e-reader format, because this is one of those kind of books that, you know, you might want to leave laying out on a coffee table or in your crafting area, and every now and then, you know, take a look through it. You know, the physical feeling of this, like even the cover is, you see, look at, you know, you've got that little interactive element kind of a thing to it. When I bought it, this is interesting, because I'm not sure where I bought it. It says on the back of this I paid £1 for it, which is roughly about $1.70 Canadian. I don't know if I got it when the last time I was in England. I doubt it, because it's heavy. And I doubt that I would have put that in my suitcase, because it would have put me over. So I must have picked it up. I probably bought it as a used book, maybe on Amazon. That could be what I did, because I don't know. I really don't remember where I got it. Or maybe I picked it up at a, I don't know. I don't know where I picked it up. That's really interesting. But anyways, it is available on Amazon. Check out the used book section too. You might get a deal on it. I have a feeling I got that on a used book part from Amazon, and it's in perfect condition. So, and whoever had it before me paid £1 for it. So, there you go. Okay, let's. Where's that taking us now? Okay, events in the past week. Update on my mum. She may be moving. The home that she's in have been working for the last year and a half or so, building a new residence that is at the standards of what new homes are supposed to be like. She's in a very old nursing home, although it is very clean and that kind of thing. It's not up to the new standards. Like the dining room, for example, is in the basement. She's on the second floor. Whereas the new homes, they put the dining rooms all on the same floor as where the residents live. And they're done in smaller groupings. I mean, she eats now dinner with 200. Well, right now she's not, because they've separated them out because of COVID and all the stuff. But in normal times, she was in a dining room that's seated 200. So whereas the new homes, if it's like the ones that I have seen in our area that are newer, it'll be like more of a pod, like about 25 people or something like that. However they've designed the home, we'll see. But anyways, we got a note from the administration to let them know if Mom wanted to go to the new home, and yes, she does. She wants to go to the new home. There's a couple of reasons. One, it's new. So everything will be nicely, freshly done and the whole bit, and that'll be good. Plus of what I've already said about how the facilities will work and that kind of thing. But the other thing is she'll be moving back to the town where basically I grew up, which is next door to me. This will be a little closer to me, but really it's kind of almost equal distant. It'll be further for my sister, because my sister lives in the same place as my mother's residence that she's in now is. But anyways, but the best part about the whole thing, besides that it'll be brand new and all that kind of thing, is it's right next door to a senior citizens apartment building where her best friends live. They are literally less than a block walking distance to where my mother will be if she gets into this new home. I say if. She's on the list. They're only taking 99 people from the existing residence, because they actually have another residence that has about 40 people in it or so, and it's completely shutting down. So those people are kind of, it sounds like, are going to get first dibs in the new facility. Now, there is the possibility too that some people will not want to move from the home my mother's in right now for many reasons. You know, they've maybe been there for years and years and years, and change will upset them. Families may be living right close by in that area, and they don't want, you know, to have to go, well, essentially a half an hour drive or so away in the new home. So I'm hoping that the chances for my mother to get there will be good. She's in a private room now, so I would assume they would move her into a private room in the new residence. It's going to be more money. It's still government regulated, but the newer facilities, the government has allowed them to charge a little bit more. But that's okay. It's not that much more and than what my mother will be paying now, and it's okay. She's all right for all of this. So, and yeah, it will just be nice for her. Does she want to go? Oh yeah, she says she does. So that's great. Will she bitch about it when she gets there? Oh yeah, for certain. There'll be no doubt about that. My mother's only happy when she's bitching about something. That's the way she is. So anyways, but it would be nice for her. Okay, so that's that. Told you about going to the Aurelia and everything we did there, and that was about it in the past week. Exciting, right? Yeah, not really. What's coming up? Not much. Now, there are some virtual sew days through my guild. Not next week. I think the first one's in the first week of October. So soon, which would be next week. Yeah, I'm losing track of time here. Anyways, I may or may not partake in some of these. One of them clashes. The first one they're having clashes with something else that I'm having, which you're all invited to, and that's another craft and chat. Let me just get my calendar out, read my face. Thank you. And so, yeah, the next craft and chat is going to be a week from this Wednesday. It's on the 7th of October. Now, in next week's vlog, I will have the link to the craft and chat, the Zoom link. So you'll need to go to my vlog, and I will remind you of this in next week's vlog, and click on that if you want to join us. And that'll be Wednesday, October the 7th, starting at 1 o'clock. And last time, we didn't have a lot of people, but it was nice to see what other people were doing. So come prepared to show us something, or share an idea, or share a product, or something like that. And as you know, it's all very informal. If you've never done this with me before and you're a little iffy about it, just check. I've put the recorded version of the last one up on my YouTube channel. Just check it out and you'll get a feel for it. So that's in a week's time, well, a week from this Wednesday. But as I said, next week's vlog will have the link to the Zoom gathering, meeting, whatever you want to call it, I guess. Okay, so I think that's about all I have to tell you this week. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. And please wear your mask. Don't be an idiot. This thing is not a fraud. This isn't a conspiracy by the government. Keep yourself safe so you can keep other people safe too. Please. Thank you. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.